welcome. And thank you for taking time for this interview.
My pleasure, Mona.
Yeah,
Thanks for taking time to interview me.
yes, it's nice to see you online as we are these days.
We are. We meet several times a week, don't we, in different capacity, and it's always
Yeah,
fun to have a chat.
yeah, it is. And we work together, so I know you. I don't really know a lot about your background, so it would be nice if you could tell us a little about yourself. So, who is Laura, and who could you just talk a little about your background? That'd be nice to know.
Okay, thanks, Mona. Well, I'm Laura. I'm English, and I have lived here in Norway since 2008. Prior to that, I was living in the south of England and way back qualified as a management accountant. So that means an accountant that's very focused on using numbers to build value. So it's all about reporting, forecasting, key performance indicators, and basically an education around business.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize back then, which was in around about year 2000, how useful that would actually be. And so I think I need to thank my younger self for taking an education that's very relevant to what I ended up doing, and also extremely interesting, because business is an extremely interesting kind of topic, the way it works, the way all the moving parts fit together.
It is.
So so I mean, I've used my education in absolutely every job I've had. So I've built a career around management accounting, really.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst I was still living in England, I had several very interesting jobs, including working for a South African wine company, which had extremely great benefits, including a few trips to South Africa.
Oh, I
As
didn't know that.
Yeah, it
Interesting.
was it was an amazing, or a really fun, a really fun business to be in, because you're working with, a live product. We had to forecast for growing grapes, and their forecasting was very, critical, because when you're growing grapes to make wine, you need to be sort of 3 or 4 years in advance, to plant the right vines, the right
Yeah.
vineyard, for the right
Mm-hmm.
wine. So, at that point in time, my forecasting, or my passion for forecasting, was really pushed to its limits, because we were using relatively primitive tools, or Excel back then, to make these
Yeah.
very detailed forecasts for different vineyards, to grow the different grapes, to make the different wines. And so that was a really interesting job. And I've
Yeah.
had a number of different interesting jobs, including in construction, which was very again, a very interesting job, because I got to really look at how to forecast in terms of, projects. We were building mansions for, city workers and football players, and so some very interesting projects. So these projects, they would be consistently or continuously changing, and we had to really keep on top of what was happening at the building site. So again, back then we had relatively, again, primitive tools, and we often would be out on site with big A3 bits of paper, really plotting out how the project was developing, and then going back and trying to capture that all that information into spreadsheets and all of that. So let's fast forward now several years, and I move over to Norway, and I start working with systems, and then I start working again with forecasting and reporting systems, and love it. Basically, I've worked all my life with numbers, forecasting systems, and in various different levels of technologically or technological advancement, all the way from
Mm.
paper to Excel to to dedicated programs.
Yeah, but
And
you have a variety, of your background. You've been into different branches, which is very. I'm sure you see that as a great experience to bring with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, luckily as well. I mean, I've always worked in small departments in bigger
Yeah.
businesses. I also worked in Electronic Arts, the computer games company, where again we were working for a studio called Bullfrog, who made various different games that
Mm.
probably gamers would be aware of. But that's a massive company. But I worked in a small department, so I'm really lucky, because I've always been able to do everything from A to Z, all the way to booking transactions, to using the data for forecasting and reporting. And particularly when I worked in the construction company, there was a lot of reporting and forecasting that was taken out to banks to secure financing and that kind of thing. So I feel very privileged that my career has given me this fantastic insight into, you know, how businesses work, what needs to be done, how to correspond with all the external stakeholders, how to prepare reports that management can use in board meetings. And now, of course, you know, I'm running my own business. And so all of that insight and information has been, you know, a gift really in figuring out how to get the job done, really.
Yeah. And I can see that you're very passionate about it too. So
Yeah,
my next
I love
question
it.
was actually, what are you passionate about? But which I see you love your work, but do you have anything else more specific that you're passionate about?
Well, I've got this extreme drive for clarity. You know, it's one of the values I live by: transparency, clarity, honesty, that kind of thing. So, you know, the work I do, which I am passionate about, it's for you know, the purpose really of just making life easier. So
Yeah.
I mean, in a work context, it's all about using the numbers to dig out value, to make things obvious and easy for business owners to actually, you know, to see what's going on in their businesses. But it's the same thing in my personal life, in that, you know, I have this huge library of books. I am hugely passionate about learning, about looking at other people's ideas around, you know, how to tackle this or that. And of course, you know, when somebody writes a book of, they've often compacted huge numbers of years worth of learning into, say, 300 or 400 pages that just, you know, give you that spoon fed version
Mhm.
of their, you know, reality, which you can then take and build into your own, or you can accept or reject, or, you know, sort of do what you want with it, really. But my passion is all around learning, discovering, finding new and better ways of doing things,
Mhm.
um, sharing that, you know, with others, my kids and my colleagues, my friends. So I don't know, this idea of just digging out value, digging out ideas, deconstructing ideas, picking them apart, a bit like a sort of like an engineer, but with ideas, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Pulling them apart and putting them back together. So the way I am in my personal life is very much the way I am in my business life. It's all
Yeah.
about, there must be a better way. Let's not spend time on things that can be done easier or better, or at least let's discover what could be done to make life easier or better.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that as a parent, because, you know, I have two girls who are 8 and 11, and so it's a learning experience with them as well. It's like how to take what I know and not deliver it to them, because, you know, they're their own, you know, they're their own people, but how can I
Mm.
use what I know to help them discover what's right for them? You know,
Yeah.
what can I do to make it easier for them? So reading, you know, is something that I'm hugely passionate about, and bringing all of
Yeah.
those learnings to the business and to
Yeah.
my life, really.
Yeah,
Mm,
fantastic. There's always something new to learn, and that's what brings us forward. You know, is when you stop learning, that's when you fall behind,
I
actually.
know.
So
Yeah, you're so right. You're either growing or you're dying.
yeah,
That's what they
yeah,
say, don't they? Which
that's
is a bit drastic, maybe. But I think we're so lucky with all the access we have to books, podcasts, you know, audio
yeah.
book,
There's so much,
everything. Yeah,
so much information out there. So
mm,
it's
exactly.
when you started your own business, what was your motivation behind that? Can you say a little
Yeah,
about
okay.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that we started Mantle back in 2017 was really around this idea of, again, there must be a better way. I mean, I've been working, as I've said, now in reporting and forecasting and all of that my whole life. And as technology became more efficient and more available for smaller and medium-sized businesses, we were then obviously able to take all of this wonderful data and use it in a way that we hadn't been able to before. But
Hmm.
the big challenge was getting hold of that data. So the reason for setting up Mantle was really, let's set up a business that's dedicated to other small, medium-sized businesses who need to use the data they have to make better decisions more quickly, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So the business was set up with my partner. First of all, my partner Espen and I set the business up together back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're shortly after that joined by Daniel, who's the third partner, with the idea of, okay, we need to use technology and we need to use development skills to make this a reality, because data is slippery and complex and hugely hard to get hold of and actually harness and transform and make it report ready. You know, it sounds really simple, doesn't it? Like we can just plug into all these different data sources and there you go, and there we've got it, and it's all available and wonderful, but it's not as easy as that.
No.
You know, so we had this idea that my initial idea was that it was going to be like this octopus with all these legs that were going to kind of dip down into all these different systems, suck up information and do something really clever in the octopus's head, and, you know, as I say, make it ready for reporting. But we started off with just the idea, really. We didn't have anything, you know, other than a laptop and an idea about what we wanted to achieve. So we needed to go out and figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? Who are we going to partner up with? What, you know, third-party products are we going to add into the mix to make this a reality? Because we weren't looking to recreate what already existed. No. So we weren't looking to rebuild, for example, the Microsoft Power BI, or recreate a profit-based planner, or recreate a BizView or a one-stop reporting. You know, there's great tools already that already exist.
Yeah.
So we wanted to build our own platform, which allowed, which, you know, our octopus, if you like, which allowed us to suck up the data and transform it into a format that was ready for reporting, which we could then utilize these third-party tools in, you know, with, if that makes sense. So yeah, so we did that, and the real idea behind all of this is that we could give this ecosystem of systems on tap to businesses that need it, you know. And I would argue that every business needs it, but that, you know, businesses are at different stages of maturity and have different needs. And so obviously we approach this very much with the idea of, let's look at what your needs are, let's look at what we have and what we can offer you to actually get the job done. So we look at things not in the, you know, we don't go out and look at every job as being the same. You know, we often configure our system specifically for a business that has a set of needs that are very unique. So, you know, there's a lot of out of the box applications available on the market, and we weren't looking to create just a pure out of the box application. We were looking to create a solution that really works for any type of business, really.
What are the problems that Mantle solve?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because the reason that we set up Mantle was really to solve some specific problems around access to data, which I've spoken about before, and it's really to have it at, you know, your fingertips. And what often happens is that, you know, there'll be an IT department or an IT person that is suddenly pulled into the mix and asked to solve these problems, and that draws them away from the work that they were supposed to be doing. So what we try and do is we provide on tap that expertise, so that we can provide the solution, we can provide the expertise, we can provide the consultant if needs be, so that the company gets the solution that they need without their IT department kind of being burdened with creating these reporting or forecasting solutions. And one of the things that we find often is that, you know, teams need to work on the same data. They need to be referring to the same source of truth. And without a good solution, what's often happening is that you've got Excel sheets flying around the organization. So you've got one department looking at this version of the truth and one department looking at that version. So what we're essentially doing is we're centralizing everything. We're centralizing the data. We're centralizing the insights. We're centralizing the key performance indicators. And we're doing that with a very effective back end, because obviously we've invested heavily on making sure that that's possible for small, medium-sized businesses to make use of. So that's really, you know, Mantle in a nutshell. Is giving access to that data and that information in an elegant way.
If you look back now, compared to when you started, or when you started Mantle, what would you say? I mean, do you still have the same idea, or has your vision, has that changed?
Yeah, scarily enough, if you look back to when we started Mantle and you look at all the different documents, the vision is realized. It
Yeah.
hasn't changed. It's still the same.
Mm.
So it's still, I mean, the octopus, I started calling it a connector box at some point in time,
Yeah.
because I just sort of, I'm not a programmer or a developer. So I would explain to Espen and Daniel, okay, this is kind of how it looks in my head. It's just this sort of thing that we can, this box that we can plug all these connectors into.
Hmm.
And that bit has become Unifier. That's what it's
Yeah.
called now.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what I hoped for, is that, we're going down, we're collecting information from all these different systems. When we get a new client, we're able to customize a solution for them because they may have a data source that we don't already have in our connector library, but that's okay. We
Hmm.
just build it for them, and there it
Yeah.
is. So it's absolutely everything I hoped for, and more, really. I didn't imagine originally that we would, for example, have embedded our own analytics tool inside Unifier, inside our connector box, but we have done that. We've embedded Power BI, because what we see is that collecting all this wonderful data is great, but in some cases people want to be able to look at that data, and of course the best way of looking at data is to use something like Power BI to create a nice dashboard or
Yeah.
report. So we embedded that along the way, which was something that I hadn't imagined that we would do, but
Mm.
made a lot of sense. So the vision has matured, and of course now we have a fantastic team,
Yeah.
amongst them. And so, I mean, the whole business is just getting more and more exciting, and more mature. And the customers we're working with are also very, interesting cases and great people. And for us, it's fantastic to see um, the return that they get on their investment.
Hmm.
So when we deliver them a solution that we can say, oh, or we can see it's saving them days and days and days of manual work, or it's giving them information they didn't have access to before. So it's
Hmm.
allowing them to keep a very lean back office,
Yeah.
that they can achieve a lot with the technology that we deliver them, without having to add on layers and layers and layers of kind of expensive human resource.
Hmm.
They can rather use the human resource that they already have, but use it in a, or allow the people that they already have on the team to make much more valuable decisions for the business, because they're getting access to much better data. And then you can
Yeah.
see, I fully believe that this is like a lifestyle business, in sort of at the end of the day, that we're not just delivering technology, but we're delivering better night's sleep. We're delivering more better peace of mind, because not knowing what's going on in your business is
Yeah.
hugely disturbing. When you've got responsibilities to pay wages, you've got responsibilities to customers, you've got responsibilities to pay your suppliers. All of these things are obligations that, as a business owner, you need to deliver on. And if you really don't know, how things are going, and what the cash position looks like and what the forecast looks like, it's enough to make you sick, really.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. And that's where everything has changed, the past decade, where now we can access real-time data. Uh,
mm,
if you look, before, when we got the monthly report and had, the historical data, now you can just plug in and get the data, what's the status right now, here and now.
exactly,
So
exactly. It's such a blessing. And when I'm talking about this, I'm obviously talking from two different perspectives. I'm talking about a solution provider, as we are a Mantle, and then I'm also talking as a business owner. And
yeah.
I know that if I can sort of open up a system like I do, and I can press a button and everything refreshes, and I get to see instantly, not just, our profit and loss, but I get to see, which departments in our business have secured the most revenue, which products have the best gross profit margins, how much do we have in our sales pipeline,
Mm,
to deliver on.
yeah.
What is the trend? Is it up or down? What does it look like if I look at the last 12 months compared to where we are now?
Hmm.
All of this information is available to me instantly. So I don't have to spend time like trying to figure stuff out. All I have to spend time doing is, okay, what do we want to do with this information? Like, what shall I share with the team? What do we need to know? What actions or activities might we need to, put in place now to make sure that this or that happens. And it's such a relief.
Yeah.
I can't imagine managing a business without access to this kind of information. So
Yeah.
therefore, when we go out and we're discussing with clients or potential clients, their needs and what solution that we might be able to deliver for them, I'm really speaking from firsthand experience of
Exactly.
a business owner or department head or somebody that needs to know what
Mhm.
is going on. How do things look? So I can put my hand on my heart and say, well, I couldn't manage a business without this kind of data. So
Mm.
therefore, I don't believe anyone else can.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mm.
Back to Mantle as a company. If you look in the future, 5 years from now, where do you see Mantle at that
Yeah.
point?
Okay. Yeah. Good question. Well, the 5-year plan, because we still have one, even though
Yeah.
in the days of Corona, like the plan really needs to be shrunk down to the next 3 months. So we have our short-term plans and we have our long-term plans. But in the longer-term plan for Mantle, it's more connectors. So we're building up our library of connectors so that it's easier to onboard new clients with new systems.
Mhm.
And we are, of course, looking very heavily into implementing more advanced technology. So more, in the way of machine learning and AI, all of those, sort of bots are on their way in to
Mhm.
Unifier as well.
Mhm.
So it's basically moving the platform from being what it is now, which is very much, augmented, as in humans are working alongside the technology,
Mm.
to put in more and more of the artificial technology or artificial intelligence, so that the platform can produce more and more insights without having to be kind of triggered, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It will be able to look at the data that's available and then start pushing out red alerts. Okay,
Mhm.
look at this, people, that this needs attention. So it's really to develop Unifier. I mean, Unifier, our platform, is our sole focus. Really,
Mhm.
it's delivering Unifier and the systems that go around Unifier, to make sure that the business owners just get more and more and better and better and better information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in 5 years, I see that we'll still have a thriving business with a with a platform that's more sophisticated than it is now, and a bigger team, I should
Yeah.
imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel that we've hit the market at the right time, because in small medium-sized businesses, business intelligence is still coming online. It's not mainstream yet. So obviously we're providing these business intelligence solutions, performance management solutions, that in 2 to 3 years, I would imagine that most businesses will have realized they can't live without. At
Mhm.
the moment, we're still dealing with very much of a mindset around this.
Yeah.
When we go out and explain what we do, it's still very much more, or it's still, we need to explain what the purpose is of all of this, and kind of prove why it's important. So I think in 4 or 5 years, that won't be the case anymore. It'll be so mainstream, hopefully, by then, that
Yeah.
it'll be more of a case of less dealing with mindset and more dealing with, just getting on and implementing these great solutions in businesses that know already that they need them.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
Exciting times.
Yeah. So,
It is.
you know what
Mhm.
it's like at Mantle. No, a week in Mantle is never quite the same from one week to the next, because there's always so much, new opportunity to look into, and so much to do. So
Yeah.
it's, running a business is obviously, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's hard work, but it's so worth it. Especially when one can really buy into the kind of solutions that we're building and delivering. So
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that. And being part of that team is just it's so exciting. And I'm myself, my background is from a larger company. We're 30,000 employees, and now we're five, and
yeah,
hopefully we're going to be more this year. So it's a big difference, and it's much more hands-on. You get to do a little of that, and a lot of that. So
yeah, no, that's so great, and it's so
variety.
great to have you on the team. And we live by our values, don't we? I mean, we've got three very simple values, which is fun, ownership, and teamwork. And even though in these Corona times, we haven't been able to be together in our beautiful offices as a team,
Yeah.
I think we've managed to at least live by the values. And as we grow, of course, it's very important to find others that have the same values, you know, to come onto the team and to help build the business and really, you know, continue to develop Unifier that's, you know, really generating these business insights that make life much easier for people in business and for ourselves.
As much as your work or Mantle is part of your life, and I'm sure it's a lifestyle, and you're very passionate about what you do, I'm sure you have to do other things to relax. So what does Laura do when she wants to relax and, you know, unwind?
Yeah, that's difficult because I'm very much like, you know, sort of obsessed with the work, if you like. But when Laura needs to unwind, because I am quite good at looking after myself actually and thinking, right, now it's time to, you know, to stop thinking about the business. It is reading, as I said, and it's walking. I absolutely love walking. I could walk all day. And I love my garden as well. So very simple pleasures. I used to really like cooking, but now I have my husband. He's so good at cooking, so now I just prefer to eat the cooking.
Well, that's great.
Food in general. And of course, I love traveling, which is not something that we can really do at the moment. So I'm missing that. But yeah, simple stuff. It's more for me around quiet time, recharging the batteries, getting out in nature, that kind of thing. So
yeah, you live in the perfect place for going out in nature. So
absolutely, you know, and I think that was pretty deliberate, you know, moving somewhere where there is a lot of nature around, and I think that's, you know, Norway's fantastic as well for nature. So I mean, what a blessing to live here in Norway.
Thank you again, Laura, for taking time for this interview. It was really nice seeing you online. Hopefully we can get together soon in person at our beautiful office at FOMO.
Yeah, thanks, Mona. I look forward to that. So have a great day, and we'll speak soon.
Yes, you have a great day too.